Now we configured our first path, which is only responsible for the individual product. Why does it not work if we go and try to retrieve the individual product inside product service? If you examine, the path is a little bit different because we are passing an ID. If you examine the product API controller, you can see inside route we expect a parameter here, so the route will be different. So if routes are different, you have to add the configuration again. So in that case, let me copy this, add a comma here and paste it one more time. The next route that we want to work on is here. We'll be passing an ID. Everything else stays the same. Just forward it to a route with the ID, and this will be an HTTP GET method as well. With that change, let me run the project one more time. And right here, if you click on details now, great, you can see it is successfully able to retrieve that because the paths are valid. So if you have the correct configuration, everything will work. Let's work on performing CRUD operations on the product. Right now, if you try to create a product, it will not work because the paths are not configured. You can see it stays on the same page, and if you examine the console log, you will see it failed to match route configuration for API products with the verb of post. Let's add that configuration. Let me stop this application. And let me copy this and paste it one more time. The next one that we want to work on is post method. And here we do not need an ID. It is just API/products. Let me go to the services. Let me go to the product service and let me examine where we have the create and update. Now inside create, if we scroll down, then let me go to the product service here and examine the create. It is going to API/products. So that is great. But this is a post method, and if you examine the product API controller, which is inside the product microservice, if we have the post, it has an authorized attribute. So that means we need to provide authentication options. Let me open up the snippets again, and we have the section, and I added a section for authentication which we removed because we did not need that in the get one. So we will copy that and let me paste it after post right here. We do not need much details here. The only thing that we need here, the only thing that we are using here is allowed scope as well as authentication provider key. You can of course provide more details, but we are keeping it super simple. If we examine our services here inside the identity service, let me open up the startup file. Not the startup, let me open up the static details. Where we are creating our client, you can see we had the Mango client. And in that Mango client, if we examine the scopes, Identity कहाँ है identity? We gave our API the scope of Mango. So let me close this, and inside the startup you can see where we are adding the configuration. So let me close that, and the allowed scopes, we will change this to Mango, and then the authentication provider key, we are using bearer token. So we will use bearer here. Make sure you do not make any spelling mistake with the key. This is the key that you have inside the product API. If you examine the startup class file, you have configured that right here. So we will close this, and let's run the application and see if post actually works. In order to check the logs, make sure that you have the Gateway console window open. Perfect. Let's go to product here. We are already logged in, and let's try to create a new product. Perfect. You can see the product has been created successfully. Now with the same application, let me stop that, and let me change the scope here to Mango 1. Let's see what happens. If we go to product and try to create a new product, this time it won't work. You can see here it displays an error that no one user scope and Mango does not match with Mango 1 that was found in the middleware. So you can see how scopes are working here. Now if we examine our product API controller, the action, or rather the route for post, is exactly same as put. Let me show that right here. You can see the routes are same. So if the route or the endpoints are same, if we switch back to app settings, here along with post we can mention that put is also the same. Let's examine what is there with delete. Delete is different because it is HTTP delete, and with that we have a route with the ID. So we'll have to configure a separate route for delete. Since that is an authorized, we will copy the authorized one and paste it one more time. Here, delete expects an ID. So we will change the route here, and the method here will be delete. Perfect. Let's run our application and try to edit and delete the new product that we added. So perfect. Let me run the project again, and let's try to delete the product. And let's try to delete the product that we added and edit that as well. So in here, let me try to edit this. I'll change it to 3. And great, that works. Let's see if delete also works. Perfect. You can see so our CRUD operations with product works. So our Ocelot API is perfectly set with the products API, is perfectly set for the products API and all of its endpoint. We need to do the same configuration. If we go to front end, we have other services for cart and coupon. Let me do that in the next video.